I had no idea that Belmont Beach existed. You know, I was about two generations out from its heyday, and it wasn't until you reached out to me. For those of you that don't know, Ted and I went to high school together. We went to Ben Davis. We took jewelry class together.
I'm sure I used to get on your nerves then.
You were cool. You were cool. But it's so funny because we got reconnected when you were working on a different park in your neighborhood, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you reaching out to me to say, this is what we're doing at Belmont is how we really got plugged in together. So, how did you get pulled into this Belmont Beach project?
I got pulled in from doing other community projects. I was working with Indie Convergency on the Rah Rah to connect all the West Side communities together. He was on the video in front of the trailer, and they got introduced to me about the White River Project. And I thought it was fake like everybody else, because if you from the West Side, you know the area where Belmont Beach is at, that wasn't a safe area that we thought. So when I heard about it 4 years ago, I was like, this is definitely not possible. And like Ebony said, when it started coming to life, I was like, I need help and somebody that's in the community and really know how to help me put this together. So that's how all that came about.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad to be a part of it. So growing up in Hallville, you know, I just think about so many things. I shared this with somebody recently, but growing up, you couldn't tell me that it wasn't the most special place in the world. Like, we spent all day outside playing. My grandmother taught us how to garden in our yard when we lived on King Street. My church was around the corner on Bellevue,
Right.
and we went to the Kroger right around the corner, Schaefer's candy store, Long's, all that stuff. It was just right there in the community, and we were so tight knit. What was it like for you growing up in Hallville?
It was great. Sorry to put the CICF ambassadors on blast, but when I first got invited to the room, they asked me where I was from and what neighborhood I was representing, and I said Geist, right?
Why did you say
And it
guys?
froze the room because I wanted when I did say Hallville, I didn't want people to look at me like it was a bad area because when
Okay.
I think about it how a lot of people think about Geist like it's home, it's where you go, you have fun, you be with your people. I can, and
Hmm.
that was the way I grew up. I wasn't outside the neighborhood, so what everybody else seen and heard and felt, I didn't. So
So
when I,
some of that negative connotation that people
yeah, I
associated with the
just
neighborhood.
eliminated as soon as I walked in the room. Like
Yeah.
this is how I feel, and don't look down upon it. So. Um, I don't know if that answered the question, but I look at Hallville as that's my safe place. That's
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, I hope that answered that as best as I could.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I come from a family where my grandmother was super involved in the neighborhood. My mom and my dad grew up there, and then I ended up growing up there. So having those family ties was really important as well.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So we talked about your introduction to Belmont Beach. Something that I really admire about you and about the way that this whole thing has gone is the commitment to collaboration. Like when you look at that video, there's so many different people and organizations that were involved in really making it work.
Right.
How do you approach collaboration and
Um,
teamwork?
Truthfully, it's a God's gift, but um, playing basketball and being team leaders also helped. And I knew I couldn't win by myself. I've never been in a one player sport. So it's always been a team. Even if I was the best player, I couldn't get all the rebounds. So I know like Ebony was a good point guard, so why wouldn't I pick her up? I got a friend Eric here. He my 3-point shooter. That's a guy that's gonna go connect with this community. I got my fiance here. She looks nice, so people will be open to talk to her. So sometimes people might not want to talk to me. You know what I mean? So you gotta use all your things. I keep looking at Shauna. She's a great communicator. I know there's rooms that I don't feel comfortable in, but if I bring a person like Shauna, Miss Annie, Valerie with me, that's how all that happens. And so what y'all see here is just knowing I can't do it by myself and bringing people on their strengths and we making it happen.
Yeah, you absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely choose well. You
Thank you.
definitely choose well. When it comes to staying calm under pressure, because like you said, when they first came, it was like, wow, this is impossible. And when you first called me, I was like, what the hell is Belmont Beach? Like, I don't know. Because growing up, like, we were a little sheltered. So my mom was letting us explore, but within certain bounds,
Right.
of the neighborhood. But what is your key? Because I know, like, for me, I've had to learn a lot throughout this process. What you guys saw in this video, that was season 1 of Belmont Beach. And then we got blessed to have a season 2, but it was intended in the beginning, for it to just be temporary. But we worked real hard to make sure that that wasn't the case. But it was, it was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of stressful moments. So, like, what is your key to staying calm under pressure?
I mean, it really goes back to that last question. The team helps a lot. I ask a lot of questions too. I know you know that now. So sometimes I just keep overly asking to make the person feel comfortable in that position too. So, like sometimes when I get stressed out and I know the pressure's not on me, it might be on you. I just keep asking you questions of people around you so they know to get on. Like I said, I'm good at team building and I know how to connect with people. So, communication and just knowing people's strong points is hold all that together. So, yeah.
Definitely. When you reflect back on the time that we've had so far, what are some of your highest moments? I know for me, I started out with my highest moment was opening day, because opening day was so stressful. There was just a lot going on, and we were like, oh my gosh, is this going to really happen? And I remember going to Brad and saying, maybe we should change it. And he was like, that is not happening.
Have y'all ever?
Everything is happening the way that we planned. And I was like, oh my God, okay, let's just pull it together. So it ended up being so beautiful. But yeah.
Speaking of what she said, have y'all ever had a mayor on the way to your event or space and be like, hey, can we just postpone? Do y'all think the mayor just turn around and go to McDonald's or something? Like, literally, that's what we was going through the first day. So what y'all got to see on there where everybody was having fun and joyful, we was in the back like, oh, my God. Y'all see me in a nice outfit, but like 20 minutes ago, my girl was racing down the street. I changed in the front seat. It was it was crazy. But at the end of it, like, being in this room and just being here was like, it was worth it. All the BS, all the headaches, all the trouble, all the team building was like, okay, now it makes sense, So I'm really excited for season 2. You got me thinking. Like, that was my first time watching the video all the way through.
Wow.
I could never watch it. I don't know why. Like, it was just, maybe it was meant for today. But just seeing all that, everything coming back together, like, it makes sense. Because, when you're doing a project that is, like, at this point and nobody can understand it, it's kind of hard. So season 2, I think it'll be a lot easier. Look like we got a lot of support here. And, yeah, like I said, I can ramble all day, but this moment is a lot different because I really haven't accepted it. You know what I mean? Because like Ebony said, this wasn't supposed to be happening right now. We was only supposed to do one season. It was really a project that's continuing that can go for another 100, 200, 300 years. So it's starting to register now. Y'all might hear me get more vocal about it, but yeah.
Yeah. And, I think it's like that when you're creating anything, like just being creative in general. Like, it starts with an idea in your mind. And with us, it was like an idea in a few people's minds all together. Okay, let's put our minds together and see what's going to happen. But it had to be carved out of just a field full of craziness, like all the trees that had to be cut down, all the trash that had to be picked up, because the area had been abandoned for so long. Like, it talks a little bit about it in the video, but Belmont Beach was a segregated watering hole. So it was a place that, and I'm going to get into this in a little bit, but Black business owners started that. They bought the sand, they bought all the materials and whatnot to make that a place where Black people could go and swim, because Indianapolis at the time was telling Black people they weren't allowed to swim anywhere they wanted to. Like, you were only allowed to be in certain places. So at that point, it was only Douglas Park and then Belmont Beach, where it was started by local business owners. But yeah, going back to that creativity point, it is so much uncertainty in the process because you really don't know how it's going to turn out.
Right.
Like, you have an idea in your head when you start, and with everybody else, you guys collaborating, but you really have no idea. So it's like an act of faith on so many levels, just trusting in each other, trusting in the process, and hoping that everything will work out. But back to that Black business owner. So shout out to Paul Mullins from IUPUI. He works in the Department of Anthropology, and his research really deeply helped inform what we know about Belmont Beach today. So School 63 was partnered with us through Arts for Learning. So the kids, I went over to the school, it's right across the street from Belmont Beach. And I went over to the school and I'm like, let's see what the kids are learning and whatnot. So Manon was teaching them poetry and Gary G was teaching them how to paint, and they were using salvaged materials. And then Paul's research was helping to educate them on the history of the beach. So they were writing these beautiful narratives, like if I like writing as if they were the river that had been, polluted by all of the industrial buildings that used to be along the river, and writing about the people that came to hang out at the river because they didn't have anywhere else to go. So, and I was like, wow, I need to know what these kids know. Like, I need to dive in a little more. So started talking to Paul, and he introduced me to Goosey Lee. And Goosey Lee was a black business owner who bought sand. He bought the land out of his own money. He worked with other people and created that swimming hole that started as Belmont Beach. So if you saw in the video that clip from the Indianapolis Recorder, that's where that came from. And I thought it was so funny because right before I learned about Goosey Lee, Ted and my dad had paid for sand out of their own pocket to build our basketball court. And I was like, wow, this is so eerie. So I immediately sent it to y'all like, what do you think about this? This is so weird. So the question is, what do you think about that? Like that connection to this person in history and seeing it repeat itself this many, decades later.
Once again, when I seen it, I didn't read it all the way through. I got some key points, but I did go back and read it before this event. And
listen, as long as Ted gets the gist, some people don't need everything. They just need a little piece.
Listen, I just give me a little bit and I can run with it. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Fine. But but what I did get out of it, if you do know his story, we both live the nightlife. Like I make my income in bars, nightclub. I sell liquor basically. So that's what he was in the field of that, and then he just took that money and put it back in his community. And so that's our connection. They do say time repeats itself. So when I was looking at that story, I was like, the time repeats itself? But I'm just looking at it like, is this something that's supposed to be happening? Is time recreating itself, or this is just a new idea? And that's everything I thought when I was reading it. But tying back to our similarities, I hope you can share that story with people if they want to see it. But he got in a lot more trouble than me. If y'all do see that story, that is, we don't do everything the same. But just know we're in the same field, and we love our community, and we're doing everything that we can to bring that joy back. No matter how we make our money and put it into it, it's for the people, it's for the community, and it's not just for ourselves. So definitely was dope reading that story on Goosey Lee again this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will make sure that we can share that story with everybody. But yeah, it was parts of it. I was like, okay, yeah. He was a little raw, but takes different strokes.
He was real raw, but if y'all do get it, I think it's something definitely to look at. Just knowing the research of our communities and who we dealing with and why things are happening. Sometimes we don't know why things are happening, how they got out of control. But if you go back and look, some people was actually trying to help. Some people were trying to tarnish, and some people that got looked down upon was actually trying to help. So that's one of the stories that I did get from Goosey. And I do see people look down upon what I do because I do work the nightlife. But every day that I wake up, it's for my people. I have to make the funds to provide because I wasn't always in a room to get funded or people to help me out or help my mom or dad. So I worked hard to get in the position I am in the nightlife now. But just know he has a great story, and there's some history that y'all might have heard about people that sounded bad, but they was actually there to help. And like I said, that's one of Goosey Lee's stories. So.
Yeah, and I think that's just a powerful example overall when you look at Indianapolis, if we just want to focus on our city. I keep saying this over and over again, but I feel like we really have the potential to be a model for equity, across the country, but it's going to take people stretching themselves to know, like, everyone doesn't have to look the same. Everyone doesn't have to walk in the room and be suit and tie. Everyone doesn't have to be, coming out of college and decide that this is the way it has to be. Like, people can come from all different walks of life, but if they have the passion and they, have the desire to learn and want to collaborate and want to help, then we should lift those voices up. So I think it's just another perfect example of that.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
sure. Yeah. So when you think about this whole experience overall, what are some of the lessons and the blessings that you take away from it?
The lessons is everything. Dang, that's a tough one because when you get asked a question like that, you think about the whole project. Um, One thing I did know is like if you believe in something and you put it out there, people will believe in you, and you have to realize some of the people that you want to support you will not, and do not let that be your downfall. I'm probably for the first 3 months, that was my problem. I was like, everybody should be involved. You love Hallville, don't you? But it was like that's not their passion, right? So I had to start focusing on people that was their passion. Like as y'all seen in the video, all them people wasn't from Hallville, but they believed in us. They believed in Ebony. They believed in the mission. They believed in School 63. They want to have their kids swimming in White River. Us in this room probably won't be able to swim in there technically due to getting it cleaned out. There's people in White River, but we're not supposed to be in there. But yeah. But yeah, that's the biggest thing of it all. Just believing in yourself. I learned that a lot because I came straight out of the hospital. Me and my fiance was having twins through COVID. We was locked in, and I came straight back into the project trying to lead it. And I was like, man, I need help. I need you to be in it. 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 But the people that want to be in it was way over there. So, like I said, my family and friends or close people that I thought that should have been a part of it with me, that wasn't their mission. And my main focus, the lesson I learned was just start dealing with people that want to be in the same lane with you. Deal with those people. Don't let the others stress you out and bring you down and get off your mission. Just stick to your mission, and people will come aboard that's supposed to be there. So that was the biggest lesson I got out of the whole project.
Yeah, absolutely. What about blessings? What ways has it added to your life?
Man, being here right now. Belmont Beach has brought the character out of me because social media world now, nobody has to know you to be somebody, and I learned how to take advantage of being Terre Hardy on the internet for a long time, and nobody actually knew me in real life. So when the Belmont Beach came around, people had to actually engage with me. I had to be vocal. I had to start coming in rooms like this. I had to sell the story. So that was my biggest blessing because before then I could just be on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email. Nobody had to actually physically engage with me for a long time. So this has been my biggest blessing.
Yeah, so it had to open you up a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I would say definitely this is a collab, a lesson and a blessing from this whole process has been to basically yield to the process and be open to things just happening. A lot of my life, and they noticed this when I first came in because I was coming in like structure. And they were like, yeah, it's cool. We can just, And I'm like, no, we need to have it like this. And they're like, in so many words between Ted and my dad, it was a lot of like, chill out. So that was an incredible lesson and an incredible blessing to me because I think sometimes certain people can forget that you have to leave a little room for, the magic to happen. It can't all be like, so strict and so mapped out. So definitely going back to the theme to wrap us up, when you think about leaving a monumental impact on the world, what do you think that means to leave a monumental impact on the world?
I think it was mentioned earlier, but you can be anybody who you want to be is what I got out of this. Like if you just my overall picture is how I see it is when you see something, you just fill in the gap, right? Like so in the community, I noticed we was just missing park engagements, right? So that's just my monumental thing. Like I want people to know, just fill in the gap. Don't try to do too much. Don't do too less. If you see a hole missing or need to be filled, just fill it in.
Like you did with Lynn Park. I forgot to ask you about that. Yeah.
I didn't know we was going to hit on that. But, yeah, just like Lynn Park, it was just a piece missing, a space that wasn't getting used. And I went out there with programming, which I didn't know it. I just thought I was training kids playing basketball. I was actually getting myself ready to go back and hoop overseas, and it ended up working out for the community, like just hanging in the park, playing basketball. Shout out to Eric for cooking hot dogs. I hated hot dogs after 2019 because we ate so many every day at the park. But those things, and also letting the kids see it like we did it. I didn't get to use this earlier, but for those that know me, I stopped using it a lot because I offended a lot of people, but I really don't care. But it was, my quote was, "It takes the hood to save the hood," right? And the only reason I use that is because we always putting a lot of money in the community, right? But we forget to touch the community. So with me, I was a perfect example. It was like, if you just believe in somebody in the community and let them bring in the extra resources and who that can fill in, it makes more sense instead of the resources coming in and be like, I need you in now, I need you here now, blase, blase. So I think I was an example of somebody in the community, and the people from the outside reached out like, how can we move? And we moved, right? And, you know, that's the biggest thing from it takes the hood to save the hood. It's no disrespect to whoever read it wrong. If you take disrespect, that's on you, but it's more like if you want to invest in the community, start investing to the people in the community and let them make those decisions. So that's that.
That's it. So, Ted, thank you so much for this great conversation, for all the work you're doing, for being an incredible teammate.
Thank you.
Because that was one of the things. It's so funny how you put things out into the universe that you want, and then it comes knocking at your door, because that was one of the areas that I really wanted to develop in was, in teamwork. So it's been a beautiful experience so far. So I really appreciate you.
Man, thank you, and I appreciate you.